Hello, we are Geeks Assembled and we are carrying on our horror month. And today we are discussing a 1990 movie. Just recently been remade, but I've heard it's the remake's not that good. This is why we're going to the original one. We are talking Jacob's Ladder, starring Mr. Tim Robbins. So, without further ado, we'll go to Ethan for his opening thoughts on Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah. Oh, I love this film. It's actually been a while since I've watched this film, but this is one of my favorite horror movies ever. And it's such a well done. It still holds up. Actually, you could tell it is old now, but it still holds up with the effects because it's not big effects. It is very practical and very stylish, and it's a brilliant story. I think we've had stories before this, but this was like the first kind of its story to hit the mainstream where people thought, oh, wow, didn't see this coming. Because after that, it's influenced so many horror stuff and other things. And now Lee knows I'm a big fan of this. The video games, anyway. One of the things it influenced was Silent Hill. So in many ways, this is the original Silent Hill. If you've played the video game, it has that similar style where, is this real? Is this hell? Am I dying? Is this purgatory? Am I going insane? Have I been drugged or something? And it's my favorite kind. I love it where it plays with your mind. Another thing that was similar that isn't horror is Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes, which is similar. If you haven't seen it, spoilers. You've got Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes. If you're watching this, skip a few seconds. But they find out that they haven't gone back in time. It's purgatory. And it's a similar fashion where the Gene Hunt is trying to get people to heaven. And in Ashes to Ashes, you had a brilliant villain in the form of a detective, but he's actually Satan. Who's trying to suck them all into hell. And this plays it with it similar. The whole story, it opens up brilliantly with Vietnam War. And these guys look as though they're all being killed. And then suddenly what you're assuming is the present day. And if you know your movies, the clues are all laid out. And it's so clever. Like, you've got Tim Robbins in a train and he sees these signs like, New York, it may be a crazy place, and then I think hell, drugs. So it does play with your thinking, what is it? And then you see these strange creatures like a strange hobo with his face covered up, but you see a tail. I'll tell you one thing, when I first saw this, I thought it was something else, but a tail anyway. First time I watched this, I was like, are you right? But the monsters in this, the demons that he sees, you don't know if it's his mind playing up. And he's wondering, why is this happening? The creatures in this are so perfect. And you could see the influence of like Silent Hill style monsters. He doesn't know what's going on. And you've got little bits of references to the Bible, biblical names. And even his girlfriend somewhat have a similar thing. His girlfriend in 1990 is wearing all black and stuff. She's not as good and stuff. And then you've got his ex-wife, girlfriend, in all white. So there's little bits of clues there and stuff. And again, you've got like some pretty good scenery. Like they go to a party and a bit of a sort of a demon sexual meets hentai style, ain't it? But and his mates are suffering the same thing. You know, they've got it because they all fought in Vietnam, so they're wondering if it's drugs. And they can see these demons. But as the twist says, as they meet that scientist, he says it killed them. And they're all dead. They're in purgatory. And they're all being picked off by demons like blowing them up in the cars, which seems to be a thing in this. If they get blown up in cars, the demons have got them and they've pulled them into hell. Because purgatory, that's what purgatory was, in a way. You're stuck in limbo. Are you going to go to heaven or go to hell? So the demons are coming in, picking them all off, and Tim Robbins' character, who he plays brilliantly, he's trying to find what does he need to do to overcome his past nightmares and stuff and move on to heaven. And it is a brilliant story. The music's great, the scenery is great, and the characters play them so well. There's a lot of great actors in this, like Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. What's that actor's name?
Danny Aiello?
No, African American guy. He's been in tons. He's in Mission Impossible.
Eric LaSalle?
Ving Rhames, that's it.
Ving Rhames?
Yeah, Ving Rhames, and he was in Pulp Fiction as well. Brilliantly played. No, it's a very good film. It's a very influential horror film. And it still stands up to me. So I never get tired of it. Over to you guys.
Well, thanks for that in-depth opening thoughts there, Ethan. I get the feeling he likes this movie.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move over to Susan and Alex. What do you say?
Well, saw this movie a couple of times in film school, in the theater, and there's a lot going on here. It's got sort of the Dante's Inferno thing happening, and it is also like a war story, and it's like a war story with flashbacks where either you're in the present and you're flashing back to war, or you're in the war and you're flashing back to life as it may be, And so that kind of, dichotomy there, dialectic is really intriguing, and it's super psychological, and it's really good. I do agree that a lot of those appendages, those extra appendages people were growing were really sort of pornographic or erotic or whatever, so that was fun. And it's sort of a slide into madness too, a la Hamlet or Macbeth or one of those. It's got a lot of qualities of that nature, and I've enjoyed this, and seeing it again was quite something. Here's Alex.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater. It is a very good story. It's a shocking story. Again, very good cast. You have Adrian Lin, who also did Flashdance and I believe Fatal Attraction as well. So, yeah, it's a lot of parts that's scary. So it was a little scary to see it in the theater, and other people were getting, very uncomfortable with it. Sort of reminds me of Requiem for a Dream, the 2000 movie, where they're showing the old woman getting the electric shock treatments and other things going on there. It is a little too heavy, and I'm glad they cut some of the movie because I guess there was supposed to be more demons, and I think they knew they were just going to sort of alienate a lot of the audience. It's not clear if he's going crazy. He seems to be living two lives. He seems to be, poisoned by when he was in Vietnam or Agent Orange or all three. So I guess you have to give it credit for, keeping the audience interested, I guess. But yeah, I could have done without the head shaking scenes and the, snake or whatever it was, things like that. I could have done without all those. The other weird thing was he seemed to have super strength when he got very upset or very angry. He seemed to sort of sort of be like a superhero. The other thing that was scary was when he was in the bathtub after having that incredible fever. So yeah, I remember watching this in the theater and sort of being scared and a lot of other people being scared too because he's sort of screaming. Then you got the chiropractor thing. Then you got the demon thing, snake thing, the fight in the car. You got all kinds of really weird action scenes going on. The new version, yeah, they had to update it. It's not really good. It's barely scary. It's barely interesting. I mean, that's the point of a horror movie is that it's supposed to bring you into the world, but you don't know if what you're seeing is true. And this movie does it very well. The new version, no, it's not going to do. It's like 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's barely good. The cast is great. The dialogue is great. Fortunately, the Spanish or Puerto Rican girlfriend he had in the movie did die in real life of cirrhosis of the liver with complications. So she died in 2014. So she's gone. And I don't remember if anybody else is actually dead from the cast. It was interesting to see Jason Alexander. They should have had a little bit of Seinfeld in this, maybe lighten it up. But
But it wasn't going that way.
but just for a minute or so, kind of lighten it up. I mean, I remember that a lot of people in the
Look who's in it.
Sam Coppola as the taxi driver. Okay. So yeah, I think it could have done with a little bit more jokes. But I guess that would get away from the
Terror of it, sure.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I remember watching this in the theater, and a couple of people did get scared, and like I said, I didn't like the demons or the head shaking thing too fast or whatever. But I remember it was a really good, yeah, it was a really good, ad campaign and stuff like that, and it is a good movie. It's just a little. Like I said, they had to take out 20 minutes, so I'm kind of worried what they had to take out.
Well, yeah. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Right, what do I say about this movie? I'm still confused. It's as you say, yeah, it's been mentioned. You don't know if that's the real thing, or if the Vietnam War's the real thing, or backwards and forwards. But as Ethan explained, it's purgatory. You see, I didn't realise that, until the first time I saw the movie. Like, but someone had to explain it to me. And then you sit down and watch it again. You think, oh yeah, but it can get a little bit confusing because it does jump back and forth from two different lives. His girlfriend and his wife. But it's well done, and I totally agree with what he says about the really big influence on the Silent Hill franchise. Just with the caged corridors in that hospital and all those creatures running along the cages, and the head shaking thing is Silent Hill, and and Tim Robbins is brilliant. In every movie he's been in, he puts his all into it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. But it does. You've got to concentrate on this one, because if you lose it, a bit here and there, you'll find it difficult to follow. But once you get into it, and once you understand what's going on, maybe after a second watch or maybe a third watch of the movie, then you'll totally understand what's going on. It's not gory. It's not really gory. It's the horror's there, but it's sort of in your head horror, which I like that. It works so well that way. So we'll go to favourite moments or things what you weren't so keen on. Ethan.
Yeah, my biggest favourite bit as a Silent Hill fan, and you could clearly see, if you've ever played the video games, you could see this. When they say you think he's okay in a hospital, he's damaged his back, and they say, "Oh, we'll get him to X-ray and everything." This is where like it is just, what on earth am I watching? You know, you've got the asylum, people in the straitjackets, the blood and guts everywhere. The guy who's missing like legs, he's got a mask over his head, the head shaking thing. That creeps me out, and the head shaking is creepy, but I like that kind of effect because it's creepy as hell. And you've got some naked woman breastfeeding a baby, a monkey guy and stuff. It's just messed up. But you could really see the Silent Hill style in this, and even like the doctor with the face covered. I don't know what it was, like scrunched up face like that with the needle. And I do love like the way it. When I first watched this, I got so confused. Like where it does, you've got the Puerto Rico wife, and then you've got his past wife. You're in this bit, and you're thinking, what? But I was one of these ones I thought I had to let it progress in my head. I'm like, what? But when you watch it again, you sort of get, oh, he's trying. It's like playing with his mind in limbo, like what was better, what's not good, what you could have done, this and that. I do like all the references it makes to like who's who. You know, his chiropractor is basically an angel. You know, that's what he's. I think that's kind of is what he's meant to be. He's meant to be an angel trying to help him out of limbo. You know, but you just don't see the wings. I mean, you've got the bit at the start where you've got the aura of light so noticeable behind him. He says, "You're an angel." Oh, okay, we know his role. But yeah, and it is a really good story because, like, I love how it begins, and you know, as we've said, they basically died. They killed them. They destroyed each other because of that drug, the ladder. You know, and at the end of it, he peacefully dies, and he's still there. So he never really left. You know, it's almost like we've seen stories like this before, but it's, you know, he never left. He died there. So it's him dying. So it was very clever. Yeah, the snake bit. I think you mean the snake in that dancing bit. God knows what was going on there. I'll leave that for the imagination of some people, but you do think, what the heck did I just watch? But there's some people who probably like that. Don't know. Oh, look at that out of the mouth. But anyway, I liked another character I liked was the scientist, the one that they got to make the ladder. Maybe I missed it, but they don't. He's obviously dead as well, because that's the thing, isn't it? He's there, so he's saying you died. So maybe they explain that a bit more. The 20 minutes they took out, but you sort of get he's dead. Maybe he died before them, like created the drug. Oh, bang. And then they tested it on them. Yeah, maybe that. But he was a good character, though, because he's one of them characters where he's like, he knows what's going on and stuff like that. Trying to think. I think there's nothing bad about this film. But no, those are probably my favorite bits so far. You guys probably have your own, so go ahead.
Thanking you. Alex and Susan, over to you, Tim.
Okay, here's Alex.
Yeah, like I said, I'd say just like the Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, the first movie that you really weren't sure what's real, what isn't. You know, it does have a lot of scary parts in it, kind of. Very big cast. A lot of people that you already know, a lot of people that you may not know. You know, the superhero strength, the fevers that he has, or the night terrors or nightmares or whatever it is. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I mean, it has a big cast. I mean, you still have people from this cast that are in Law and Order, and they're in all types of movies, and they're in all types of shows, and comedians and people, that aren't, and it's pretty good special effects as well. Like I said, I saw this in the movie theater. It's like Requiem for a Dream in the sense that it starts out normal and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. And you're not sure if they're going crazy, if they don't realize they're going crazy, if they're both. I saw that in the theater as well, and it was worse than Jacob's Ladder, so I was getting quite seasick and sick. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I said, if you really want to see a movie that'll scare you, if you really want to see a movie that you're not quite sure what end is up, and I think what this has Macaulay Culkin in it as well. So you've got the real Home Alone, not just slapstick. But they couldn't do that with a kid because that might be a little too scary. So yeah, I mean it's a good movie. It's just that, like I said, I wonder what they took out.
And let's see. My favorite moment was with Lewis, the Danny Aiello's character, the chiropractor. Those were my favorite scenes in the movie. I love how the chiropractor was really profound and really deep, and that was cool. It wasn't like, slap in your face type deal. So those were breaks in the madness for me, and so that was fun. And the other, I mean, I thought Elizabeth Pena did a brilliant job as Jezebel. That was fantastic. Her parts were, I mean, she was a powerful character, super powerful. Anyway, that was awesome, and I think that the character's name was Doug, who was the scientist, and so that was, pretty fantastic. Also, agreed with Ethan about that, and yeah, let's see. Yeah, that surgery room where all the body parts, also very super freaky. All the body parts all over the floor and all the blood on the walls. That was super freaky. Anyway, yeah, sexual, psychological, lots of pathos in this, and I just was like, I was mesmerized again. Anyway, like I think I'll watch it again, but maybe not again for a few years. And it is true, like a lot of the American soldiers who fought in Vietnam had a hell of a time with, drugs and the effects of the war, and the fact that it turns out that all these people had died and this was his sort of, his reckoning moment was it gets lost on me, because because so much of this is so gritty realism, and because it's gritty realism, it doesn't actually feel like purgatory or like heaven or hell. Like if it was sort of more, out there, then maybe, yeah, I would agree that it actually was purgatory. But I think that this is, he didn't die there. I mean, because it's so gosh darn realistic. I mean, the party moved the music ahead 15 years, and that was, I mean, you kind of get this sense that because it's so realistic, even though there's all this crazy shit happening, because it's so realistic, it can't be movement through to the other side, but really a lot, I guess, you, you kind of think that maybe Dante's Inferno would, but I did remind me of that. So, okay, on all these points, yes and no at the same time. So, back over to you, Lee.
Thank you. I totally agree. This movie does make you think. You've got to really decipher what this movie is about. And also as well, this movie did this before the TV series Lost. So they were here first. One of the intense moments in the movie, which I did like, was the bath scene, the ice scene. That was so intense, where it was burning up. So well acted.
Yeah, that was Alex. That's what Alex was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that was so well done. But Tim Robbins is a good actor. You've got to see all his resume of movies, what he's been in. Yeah, it is. It does. It makes you think. One person can decipher this movie to interpret this movie their way. So another person can interpret the movie how they want to interpret it. It's just one of those movies where it's. I think it's just up in the air what you make of it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a very.
It can be a bit complicated sometimes.
It's a very thinking movie, and I've said this before. I've mentioned this many times, and I've just seen Joker twice, and Joker's similar, where it is for your interpretation, but those are the best movies. Joker, Brazil, even King of Comedy to a degree. They're all thinking movies where you interpretate it. And I love those kind of films where you could interpretate, you could talk about it with mates and go, well, what's your theory? Oh, no, it might be this one, it could be that. As you said, yeah.
So, while you're talking, Ethan, what's your score on the doors?
I am going to give this a 10 out of 10 because I just do love the style of it. One bit I actually forgot to mention. I just love the way the monsters are and just the psychological mind games it plays on you. One bit I was going to mention was I do love the opening bit in the train, the subway anyway, where he is trying to get across. This could have been done as a level for Silent Hill, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the street he was trying to get to is the name of something from Silent Hill. And
might well be
that reference. I know they used the shaky heads and stuff, but I think there's a few names there in the streets that they actually used in Silent Hill as a reference to the movie. But it's that bit where he gets across the train and you see all the people like that, and then you see that creepy monster driver going. Yeah, that's just great. That just sets the tone entirely. And yeah, but no, so I am going to give it a 10 out of 10. I do love this film, and as a Silent Hill fan, to me this is the original, and I love it.
Brilliant. And over to Susan and Alex.
There we go.
Unmute.
So, yeah, it had a lot. There was a lot going on in this thing, and I will probably see it again, but just not for a long time because it does do like crazy things, and found it hard to go to sleep. Kept my mind super fast turning away, and Yeah, so I will give this a 9.5 out of 10 and revisit it sometime down the road a while.
Yeah, I mean, it is like Requiem for a Dream, and in the fact that you see the people slowly going toward that crescendo of madness. It is like Nightmare on Elm Street, the original one, where you couldn't really tell what was real and what was fantasy. I'm gonna give it a 9, but yeah, it's a movie that I like, but I don't want to watch it too often because I think it's just too visually upsetting in many ways, and there's too many senses going. They portray too accurately about the sensory stuff. So I think unless you want to deaden yourself, you probably don't want to watch it because of how they showed the ice bath and how they showed the head shaking and how they constantly had to, have the loud cracking of the chiropractor and then the dance scene in the club and all these other, weird things, which, yeah, it's, you might have that in nightmares or in dreams, but, he wasn't supposedly dreaming. So, unless he really was. But again, if it was Agent Orange, then part of that is those chemicals as well. So I don't know, which is good. I mean, that's a good movie if it keeps you guessing. That it's not, silly or anything like that. But it also was, it was like Danny Aiello was the only calming thing in the whole movie, or his wife, or maybe the kid, and everything else was kind of distorted and freaky, and I didn't really like that either. I didn't like that. It seemed to be maybe three characters that hope that nothing was going to jump out, because that's the other thing. If you do too much jump scares, then that also is unsettling. But I'll give it credit that the jump scares weren't stupid like they are in the movies now. But I think that it's also kind of overwhelming for the senses as well. So it's a good movie, but I'm not going to watch it on a regular thing because it's not. I like watching movies that are a little bit more pleasant or a little bit more stunt in a way without being scary. So yeah, I mean, I have watched it before, but I also remember watching it in the movie theater, just like Requiem for a Dream, and I'm not going to run to see that. I'm not going to run to see a heroin addict lose his arm because he lets the needle, give him an infection and all that, and they have to cut off his arm and stuff like that. It's just not pleasant.
Cool. Right. So me. Oh dear. What shall I give it? I'm going to give it 8 Macaulay Culkins out of 10. Andy was uncredited in this movie. He doesn't appear on the credits. I don't know why. Hey ho. So yeah, I'm gonna give it 8. Yeah, it makes you think, and you sort of understand it a little bit more every time you watch it. But there again, it can confuse you even more every time you watch it. So it's one of those movies. As Susan said, it keeps your head while you're trying to sleep. Your head just in overtime, trying to overthink things.
I wonder if there's someone out there who's gone, I've watched this 10 times and I still can't get it.
That'll be me in about 20 years' time. So, yeah, so that's it. I'm giving it 8. So, I'd like to thank you guys for talking Jacob's Ladder with me. You guys out there, let us know what you thought of the movie. Let us know your interpretation of this movie. It would be interesting to see what other people think. Also, if you want to join our little happy band here, leave us a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And we'll see if we can get you involved in what we do on a sort of weekly basis. So,
but if you want to do horror movies, yep, you better hurry because we've only got 3 more weeks left.
Yeah, we do horror movies, yeah, but also we do all other stuff, don't we? We do audio dramas, we do fantasy, we do comedies, we do TV. So yeah, just drop us a line and we'll see if we can get you fixed up in our gang. So what's this? What are you showing us now? Macaulay Culkin. Uncredited. There you go. So until next time, let's keep climbing that ladder, shall we?